Alright guys, welcome back, and in this video I'm going to be teaching you about strings. Now a string is just what they call text in computer programming, and it's pretty much like a name, a sentence, any of that stuff. Now whenever you use text or a string, you actually need to include it in between quotation marks, either double or single. If you just try writing anything like Bucky Roberts on the screen, it's going to say invalid syntax. In other words, it like thinks it's a variable or something if you don't include it in between quotation marks. So if you do that, you can type anything you want and it's good to go. Again, double quotes or single quotes, it doesn't matter. However, there are specific times where you're going to want to use one or the other. Now, one of those things is, say you have a sentence like this. Alright, I'm going to make a sentence that says, I don't think she's 18. Well, what these quotes mean is it's pretty much telling Python where to begin and where to end. So in this example, right up here, it started right here, it said Bucky Roberts is awesome, and it ended right here because that's where your quote is. However, this sentence, it uses actually one of these quotes right after the end, this apostrophe right here. So Python is going to think that it starts here, stops here, and all the rest of this stuff it's going to get confused about. So whenever you have a sentence that does use a single quote, what you want to do is you want to put that in double quotes. So I don't think she's 18, hit enter, and it'll work fine. Now the opposite of that is this. Say that you have a sentence that uses double quotes, like she said, what part of the cow is the meatloaf from? Well, of course, this is actually a quote or a sentence, and it uses double quotes. So in this case, you would want to surround it in single quotes. Easy enough. Now, another thing that you're going to need to do sometimes is, what if your sentence has either double quotes and single quotes in it? Well, you can't just pick one or the other, so what you can do is called escaping a character. And I'll show you how to do that right now. So actually, let me see if I can copy this. Alright, so in this example, you see that it thinks it starts and stops right here. However, say that we have double quotes in here as well, so we need to surround this in single quotes. Well, what you can do is whenever it thinks it's the end and you actually just want to use it as part of your string, right before the quotation mark, you can use a backslash. And whenever you use backslash and then a symbol after it, it pretty much means just treat this as normal text. So then it's going to say, okay, start here, okay, backslash this, so that's just normal, and end here, boom. So again, backslash anything means it's a special meaning that says treat that as part of the string. Now, whenever we actually use, whenever we print strings out in our regular program, we're not just going to use the regular text. We actually need to use something called a function, and I'm going to be talking to you about functions later on. But the first function that we're going to learn is print. It's very easy. It's how you print stuff out on the screen. So press print, and that means print stuff out on the screen, and now put two little parentheses. Now in between the parentheses, write any string that you want. So hey now brown cow. So this is actually how we're going to be printing stuff out on the screen whenever we make a full piece of software. So hit enter. Pretty freaking simple. Now another thing I should probably mention is this. Sometimes you're going to want to, well, I'll show you an example and I'll show you guys the problem it causes and how to fix it. Say that we wanted to print out a path to, I don't know, some folder on our desktop. So what we can do is press, okay, where is it? C, maybe Bucky. Should move my cursor out of the way. Desktop in, my naked pictures of our course in my nude pics folder. So you are expecting it to print out this entire string right here. Hit enter. Okay, let's see what went wrong. It said Bucky desktop, and then it went to a new line and said ood pics. No, I'm trying to get my nude pics, not my ood pics. My ood pics, you don't want to see what's in there. So why is this? Well, you know how I told you guys that whenever you use backslash and something after it, it means something special. Well, in this case, and in programming, whenever you use backslash n, it means go to a new line. It has a special meaning. So what this does is it starts printing this out, and it says, okay, backslash n, bump it to a new line, and then print the rest of it, which is ood pix. So that's what it did, bump to a new line, ood pix. But of course, whenever we use this in our program, it's going to cause an issue because this is going to confuse your program. So what happens when you actually want to print out this right here? Well, what you can do is right before your first little quotation mark, you can put R. Now what R means is print out the raw string with no special meaning. Just print it out as is, whatever's in between the quotation marks. So now you hit enter and check it out. So again, you're going to use the R right before your strings a lot whenever you're working with file paths and other stuff like that. So now that we know the basics of strings and how to print them out, now I want to show you guys something else that's, well, pretty cool in my mind. You can actually add together strings kind of like you can numbers. So let's make a variable called first name and set it equal to a string called Bucky and add a space after it too. So now, not only can we store numbers in variables, we can also store strings in variables. So what I can do is say something like this: first name plus another string, my last name Roberts, and it's going to say, okay, whenever you take a string and add another string to it, check it out. It makes an even longer string. So not only numbers, you can also add strings together. And another thing you can do is this. If you take that again and add another name like McLovin and hit enter, I now have a new last name. So that's one of the uses of how to add strings together, and I want to show you guys something else cool. You're not only limited to adding strings together in Python. What you can do is you can also multiply strings. So if we have first name, which is Bucky, and we multiply it by 5, check out what happens. What it does is it takes that string and it prints it out 5 times. So this is actually going to save us a lot of work whenever we have to print something out repeatedly, like people's names or anything like that. We can actually take a string and multiply it by some number to print it out that many times, and instead of having to write like 5 lines of code. So I know that was a lot to take in, but remember, escape whenever you have to use a special character. Whenever you're working with file paths, use R before it, which pretty much means raw string, and you can also perform mathematical operations on strings a lot like you can numbers. So thank you guys for watching. I'm tired out. I'm gonna go take a nap. Actually, I'm probably just gonna eat a Hot Pocket, but whatever. I'll see you guys in the next video.